Hi everybody. I wanted to recap the citing sources assignment by giving you the correct formatting for how I wanted that to go. For everybody, I basically just commented like, "Nice, I'll post this thing," and also a couple of other comments about like some of you found the source for the NPR publication, and when I didn't list it, which I thought was pretty resourceful. So before I begin, I wanted to make some comments and give you kind of preview as to how I'm going to structure this video. I'm going to start with some basic kind of announcements and comments about the assignment. I'm going to go into the sample, like one of the sources. I'll cite it, and then when I'm done citing it, I'm going to talk about why I cited it that way. And then I'll go into a different source, I'll cite it, and then I'll come out of it and then talk about, again, why I cited it that way, so on and so forth. So the first thing I wanted to say was it was fun to see all of you on video. I haven't seen you all in a couple of weeks. I thought that everyone's video was nice. I do want you to start looking at the video. If you haven't seen the video and watched yourself, you definitely should. I want you to think about lighting quality. Some of you were in very dark rooms for some reason again. And I want you to think about sound quality. I don't know if you heard the playback on some of your videos, but some of them were either low volume or some of them had some weird sound quirks going on. So keep that in mind so that when we actually have to do if we have to do the informative speech on video like this, make sure that both the video and the sound quality are good. I also wanted to note that you all had to cite those three sources, and it took you, the average time was about 1 minute. If you have to cite 6 sources in the speech, that means that it'll take you 2 minutes of the speech just to get through those 6 sources. And if you have any more than that, then obviously it's going to take longer. Your speeches have to last anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes. And if 2 of those minutes are dedicated to citing sources, that leaves you with only 3 to 5 minutes of content. And that's not very long. So I think that a lot of you will find yourself with too much information, actually, and too many things to say. And the biggest thing is that you're going to have to cut it down. If we decide to, like I said, I'm pretty sure we'll have to do this, but if we end up having to do these informative speeches online, you will know exactly how long that speech is. It's kind of weird because it's going to force you to rehearse it and record it and watch it and probably do it multiple times until it's good, which I think is a great learning tool, actually. It's not really public speaking, but it does teach you how to train properly and practice properly. So you should not be submitting a video to me that lasts 9 minutes or 8 minutes. All of your videos should be 5 to 7 minutes for sure. But just realize that of those 5 to 7 minutes, 2 of those minutes are going to be dedicated to citing your 6 sources, which leaves you 3 to 5 minutes of content, which is not much. Think about the angle of your video. Some of you are very like this, and some of you were very close, which is fine. But for the actual informative speech, you're gonna want to keep some distance, okay? Looks like all the guys did not get haircuts before the shutdown. I was gonna wear a hat too. And one last thing, watch your video for facial performance. Some of you are, doing natural things with your face, which means that when you're speaking, you look you have sociability. You seem approachable and accessible. And some of you, I think you're just reading it, the source citation, and so you look a little like robots. You're like, today I'm going to go over this thing and do this. And I want you to think about your facial performance, your facial nonverbals, and watch that when you're watching these recordings. Okay, that's it for the recap and the talking session. Now let's get into sample 1, the book. This is how I want you to think about this too. There's this trend that happened for a lot of you. You tended to cite the information in the order that you saw it. So a lot of you said title of the book, then the author, then the qualifications, etc. And that became really difficult for you to put it all together grammatically. So I want you to watch what I do with the book. All right, here's how I would cite this book. You might have heard of Malcolm Gladwell. He's been a staff writer at the New Yorker since 1996. He's the author of some really big books like The Tipping Point, Outliers, and What the Dog Saw. And prior to joining the New Yorker, he was a reporter for the Washington Post for a long time. Well, he recently wrote something new. In 2019, he published a book called Talking to Strangers. And he advised that because we don't know how to talk to strangers, we are inviting conflict and misunderstanding in ways that have a profound effect on our lives and our world. That's the end of the citation. So notice what I did there. I tried to in terms of trying to bring credibility to the source, I took some time to get you cozy with the author, right? And not a lot of you did that. A lot of you saw that information and thought, I have to get through all this information about him. But when you get people cozy and familiar with the author and you get them to buy into who this person is, you get them to buy into the information too. So think about that, especially with books, because I have no idea who these authors are for books sometimes. I mean, I know who Malcolm Gladwell is, but a lot of you might not. And so you want people to get cozy with that author, to really understand, be like, oh, that sounds like a pretty cool guy. And then give us the information so that when we hear the information, we think, oh, must be good information since it came from such a great guy. Let's go to the second source citation, which is the periodical. Where do we have here? Okay. According to National Public Radio, last week, President Trump's remarks about a possible COVID-19 treatment triggered a hoarding of drugs that people use to treat lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. Commentary. The only thing you needed here was the publication and the date, which I did not provide, and some of you found the date, so kudos to you because it was an actual source, you just looked it up. But all you needed was the name of the publication, the date, and then the information. That's it. And the reason why is because sources like National Public Radio, they are so legit that you do not need to tell me about the qualifications of the author. We're going to assume that legit publications like this are going to hire writers that are, that have these kinds of qualifications, where they're Nieman Fellows at Harvard University, class of 2010, etc. That's why they are reputable publications, because they vet their reporters. So when it comes to these kinds of sources, periodicals specifically that have this reputation, just the name of the publication, the date, and the information. All right, going on to the last source. BrainPop.com might sound like a strange website, but it actually is run by a group of trusted scientific advisors who ensure that the topics that they publish on the website and the activities are accurate, fun, and engaging. Well, according to them, the flu, cold sores, and chickenpox are all ailments that are caused by viruses. Commentary. Websites, especially websites that sound like BrainPop.com, you really, just like the books, you have to get us cozy with the organization or the website or the author to make us believe that, whoa, okay, they sound credible. Because if you just say, according to BrainPop.com, flus, cold sores, and chickenpox are caused by viruses, my mind's just going to think the whole time, what is BrainPop.com? Where did they get this information from? And even if you give me the article title, viruses, that doesn't give me any more information that's going to build credibility. So you might have to do some research on this to figure out, okay, who are these scientific advisors? Or give me an example of one, if that makes any sense. So that's how I would have preferred the format for all three sources. If you're wondering, I was going to make this an extra assignment, but I won't. But BrainPop.com is the least credible sounding source, especially with the information that's posted here. And the book and the periodical are definitely the best ones, the Malcolm Gladwell source and the National Public Radio source. So keep this in mind as you're finishing up your speeches, to please not include any sources that sound like BrainPop, where you need to do a lot of work to get me to really like and believe the source. Try to use sources that have a high amount of reputation, like NPR, or even like Malcolm Gladwell, or people like him, where it's easy to justify who this person is in terms of their qualifications because they have such great qualifications. That's it.